Welcome back, our dear viewers. Our second segment in the daily debate today is indeed about the latest developments concerning the genocide war in the Gaza Strip and the developments on the ground by the meetings of the General Assembly, its 80th session, and the two-state solution meeting, which was presided over by both Saudi Arabia and France, and the recognition of the Palestinian state by many countries, the United Kingdom, France, Portugal. Many countries around the world did recognize the Palestinian state, including also Australia. And to shed light on the issue, we are very much delighted to be joined here in studio by Ms. Haneen Shanab, member of the General Union of the Palestinian Women in Cairo. Thank you so much for being with us for tonight.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Indeed, a very important or very historical developments did take place on the ground during the past few days. We have seen the recognition of the Palestinian state by the United Kingdom, Australia, Portugal and Canada, followed by France yesterday in the two-state solution conference that took place in New York and was presided over by both Saudi Arabia and France. How do you see here this very important move that maybe be a bit symbolic, but it has a great impact? So what's your take on that?
Absolutely. It is, of course, symbolic. However, it's a positive step towards hopefully a very tangible or a substantial, of course, change in the workforce. Of course, it's a result of a massive and immense diplomatic and political effort, of course, led by the Egyptian President, Mr. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. If it weren't to him and, of course, his allies, it wouldn't have been established or attained. I don't want to say so easily, but it wouldn't have been attained in our life, maybe. The shift, I would assume it's also not just because of this diplomatic approach, but also because of the shift in the power of the people. The countries named, of course, or the ones who joined the tail of those who recognize the Palestinian state. I feel that they've been feeling embarrassed. They have nothing to say to their people. Their people are out on the streets in riots and demonstrations, not just once, multiple of times. Their voices are very loud. I think this put them in a position where they have nothing else to say but to listen to the people, because they've been defending someone who's only been crucially and brutally violating all international laws. So this was the only solution that they had to do to actually and finally recognize Palestine as a state.
Yes. Ms. Haneen, how that move, which as we have just mentioned, it's a bit maybe symbolic, but what else should be or what other moves that should be taken on the ground in order to support this actually move by the Western countries to recognize the state of Palestine, in order to have actually the solution of the two states according to the meeting yesterday that took place in New York as well? So what other steps that should be taken on the ground to follow this important move of recognition of Palestine by many Western states?
Of course, the least that can be done is actually putting some sanctions, holding the aggressor, the person of aggression to be held accountable of all the actions that they've been doing for so many years, actually. So the least is sanctions. The least is, I believe, it's time for changes in the framework, the policies, how the UN is actually operating. It doesn't make any sense that only one veto from the
Security Council,
of course, nothing
destroy
is
everything.
Absolutely. So we should see some changes soon, otherwise they would fail themselves. So it's a very positive move or change in the UN itself as well. The Security Council is starting to actually establish their proper position, or they're taking their proper scope of work. We're seeing it being happening. but please, it's time to actually to continue this with the tangible actions on the ground.
Yes.
Sanctions, reframing the policy, redefining who has the right to veto, and it shouldn't be just one, and this excludes all the other efforts. And actually that the non-permanent members who are the ones who actually propose the resolution, it says so much actually.
Yeah.
It says so much about the dynamic changes that are happening within the UN itself.
Yesterday, we have seen actually the meeting, the summit of the two-state solution hosted by organized by both Saudi Arabia and France, and we have seen the speeches, the addresses of the world leaders concerning that issue. We have seen also Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli on behalf of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi delivering a very important speech during which he insisted on the importance of the establishment of the two-state solution, the establishment of a Palestinian state to the borders before the 4th of July 1967 with East Jerusalem as its capital, and the total rejection of any displacement of the Palestinians from their land. How do you see that on the ground now, and to what extent the two-state solution actually is the only way out for the restoration of security and stability, not only for Palestine, but for the whole region as
absolutely, well. Absolutely, absolutely. It's a very smart and very wise approach, what's been actually attained yesterday. Again, it's a result and the yield of the very, it's very immense actually, it's very magnificent what has been, it's miraculous actually what has been achieved. Putting them in no other option but to go for the two-state solution. All up till the recognition has been made, they've been, you know, trying to weasel their way, saying that, no, there are other options, they're negotiating other alternatives and so on. No, we are leaving them with no other choice but for the two-state solution. Yes, we are saying the re-establishment or the recognition of the Palestinian state. Of course, we're not neglecting that Palestine has been existing for thousands of years. However, we're maybe going with the flow. Just, you know, telling them, okay, fine, we are on board with what you're saying if this would lead to listening to our demands.
And to end the genocide war, the killing of civilians and innocents.
It's beyond horrific, actually, what's happening. So, if we talk about actual on-ground solutions, I believe after the formalities are concluded, we will see some changes towards some on-ground sanctions, some on-ground accountability being held against the aggressor, of course, and I would assume a very close or a very near ceasefire declaration would be followed with a plan of how the replanning or reconstruction of the Gaza Strip as a whole, and some how can we say, some holding back or stopping of the crazy expansion of the Israeli aggression also on the West Bank. They're expanding their spot. They're offending too many Palestinian people on so many different spots actually. So this will be put to an end, at least temporarily, until the formalities of the recognition is being placed in a very diplomatic or in a very internationally accepted. The recognition, of course, by the UK has upgraded the Palestinian president from a mission to an embassy.
Yes, and we have seen yesterday
Ambassador Hazem Zomrot, I think his pride and his happiness. This is
very important and historical moment.
Of course, of course. Similar to what we've obtained when Palestine has been given the non-permanent membership, of course. So we should see more of that happening, inshallah, very soon.
Yes. A ceasefire on the ground, a cessation of this genocide war against the civilians, the displacement of the Palestinians from the Gaza city, a famine taking place, starvation war, and threats also from the Israeli side to increase the level of aggression and to make a more extended land incursion and invasion on the ground, and more settlement and annexation for the West Bank. So do you expect here to witness an acceptance from the Israeli side for a ceasefire?
It will be a very hard pill to swallow by them, because I don't know, but what they were counting on is now khalas, it's exposed, it's exploited by the recognition that's been already obtained. So this should deteriorate, it should roll back, it should at least stop, or the span of expansion of their territory should stop at least, and hopefully roll back to, and we should shift what's actually happening. Am I being too optimistic? Yes, but we really put hope in the UN that with what they've done so far, of course it's not as a solid, or it's a solo approach, it's been sorry, a global consensus actually is being seen. So we should see this expanding in terms of recognition of the human rights, recognition of the it's a victory for the whole international community actually, to see the oppressor being held accountable and to be put in place, and actually the law taking place. There are too many cases against the Israeli occupation with all the violations they've held.
Of course.
We should see something taking action in that direction as well, not just the annexation, not just the apartheid, not just the demolition of houses, not just the famine, not just the epidemic that's just spreading across the whole of Gaza, with the very tiring situations that exist there.
Yes. We have to mention here that we have witnessed many protests in the European states that did not witness a recognition of the Palestinian state, like we have seen in Italy many demonstrations as well. What message does this give to the whole world, and to Israel in particular here, regarding how the world is seeing their crimes against the Palestinians and their genocide war, their starvation war, which is against all international laws?
Of course. Again, the people have spoken, and they continue to speak very loudly, despite of the direction of the governments or the direction of the policies that are put in place. The people are not being held back. They're not afraid. They're no longer, how can I say, they're not. It's all out there. No lies actually exist anymore. You're not fooling anyone. The facts are there. People have been seeing the genocide live, with details, with footages. It's present. Everyone is seeing it. No matter how much effort you spend, or how much you invest in the censorship, in the blockade that they've done, the cut off the internet. Whenever there is an increased aggression in the Gaza, they cut off the internet because they don't want people to report. They're killing the journalists, or they're killing the press people. Okay, but the people are working as journalists. So when you block such coverage, the other, or the external community is speaking, because they've become allies of us. They've become our voices externally. This is what the people of Palestine are saying, and this is what the international community is saying. We are all one, actually. We are all humans, and we all stand for the same set of rules, the same set of rights as humans. This should not happen, because if it's happening to someone, then it will happen to the other. So we're making a very strong stand. We're not okay with what the governments are saying. This is what the Europeans are saying. We see it in the US as well. The people are going crazy over the social media, saying, this is not what I put my taxes in. This is not what this is not what I'm supporting.
Yes, indeed. But we'll take it from here also. We have seen this reaction from Israel and the United States, of course, which is totally supporting Israel in its actions. We have seen actually threats. We have seen rejection from Israel to this move from the Western countries to recognize the state of Palestine, and we have seen also threats from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to annex part of from the West Bank as well.
Yes.
So how do you see these Israeli threats?
He's a bully. typical bully attitude, but in the form of a country that's fighting so hard to be established. They're not, I don't want to say this way, but they're not grateful that they've been given a land. There was no Israel ever at all. So you've been given a piece of land. So the least you could do, or the most actually you should do, is accept that.
What's the solution?
By the least, by the least. We've always been calling for this. We swallowed, as the whole region, I'm not just speaking for Palestine, we swallowed your existence. The Europeans are not welcoming anyone, and no one is giving any piece of land actually. So you've been given a piece of land, take it and contain it and just live in it. Don't bully around the other people, don't poke them around. What are you doing? Stealing other land? Why? Isn't this sufficient? Expanding the power? Why are you erasing the other? Why are you claiming that there was no history of Palestine? Why? By the way, speaking of the public opinion, it's not just the Europeans, it's not just the international or Western communities that are speaking up. Of course, within Israel itself, the people are actually speaking up. They said, we are fed up with this war. What is it gaining us? Nothing. What's the benefit of it? Nothing. Bring back the hostages. This is what they are saying inside. Bring back the hostages. End this war. It's consuming them, it's draining them economically by the least, not just in terms of political or geospatial existence. No, it's just draining them as a community. They are very weak.
Do you expect here again to witness a return for negotiations after even that Israel did attack one of the mediators, which was Qatar?
Yes.
And we have seen here very strange reactions from the Israeli side. So do you believe that mediation could actually with the help of the mediators, Egypt, Qatar and the United States, to reach a ceasefire agreement, the return of hostages, the stop of the Israeli attacks, and the entry of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip?
Of course, after the recognition, it's more viable now, because they are left with no other excuses. Khalas, it's done. The whole world almost recognizes Palestine. What other excuses are you proposing or counting on? Yes, the negotiations will continue sometime soon, but with a shift in power. Now, with the recognition, with more people on board, Israel and its allies are in a weaker position, so I would assume they're more prone to accept the terms. However, they will fight back, of course, saving face, of course, in front of the whole community and their own people as well. But we should see something soon resolving all of this. Of course, will be followed with the entry of aid, whether it's medical or the food supplies, followed by the reconstruction, and they should formulate something that would address the people of the Gazan, Gazans in Palestine. What shall be happening to them? Will be they living somewhere until their homes are rebuilt, or the country actually is rebuilt, the infrastructure is completely demolished? So what's going to happen to them? There should be some short-term.
I do believe, Ms. Haneen, also that if there was actually a stoppage of the war or a ceasefire agreement reached, there is a meeting that Egypt did call for, a summit for the reconstruction of Gaza, and an Arab Islamic meeting for this, the Arab Islamic plan for the reconstruction of Gaza and the funding of the Gaza while the Gazan people are inside their homeland. So once the ceasefire agreement is reached, how do you see tomorrow? How do you see the day after the war, which will happen through God's will?
Inshallah. Of course, building on the theories, so far it's all propositions, it's all meetings and negotiations. Until the ceasefire is actually in effect, all of this is just plain theory. Until a ceasefire is there, the immediate medical aid and, of course, saving the lives is done. We shall see. I believe there are multiple of options on what's happening or what will be happening to the Palestinian people. Of course, the displacement is a no-no. it's not acceptable by anyone on this globe that Palestinians will be displaced. However, something short-term shall be present on where people will be living until a region is built so people can live in it, and the other places...
To be a livable place.
Exactly. So some plan is, of course, there with all the massive fund that's being offered, of course, but with the financial aid that's being, or with the financial sponsorship that's being offered, there should be a plan, practical or tactical, on ground, on what's being built, how is it going to be built, the capacity of such living places, the construction, how is going to be, who's responsible for what. I would assume an international involvement with, of course, someone being as a neutral entity present, whether the UN, whether it's under the custody of the Egyptian presence. Of course, all of this is on the table for discussion. Egypt is always present. Egypt is always leading such negotiations and mediations because Egypt is always keen on the prosperity of Palestine. We are neighboring countries, so the prosperity of this is the prosperity of the other.
Of course.
Needless to say, one people, of course, it's an extension, or it's the fabric is actually interlocked.
Yeah,
of course, it's one. Yes.
Ms. Haneen, the United Nations Security Council held an urgent meeting actually to address the escalating humanitarian crisis, the ongoing hostilities, and the broader question of Palestinian statehood. What were the main resolution or declaration adopted by the Council? And of course, the problem here that we always witness here a veto. Yes. From the United States in the Security Council to stop any implementation of any resolution.
Hopefully this time there should be a shift. There should be more pressure or at least to reach a no veto, or at least reduce the heat, or reduce the opposition against such recognition and such efforts towards how can we say, the recognition of the Palestinian state is not just a reward for peace, it's actually essential for peace. And this is what President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and President Mahmoud Abbas had both said one way or another. So in order to attain peace in the region, not just in Palestine, you should come to a full understanding, full comprehension and actually execution of this two-state solution.
Of course.
Veto here, veto there. You have the right, of course, to negate this, or you have the right to oppose this resolution, but enough is enough. You've had your chances, enough is enough.
Indeed, enough is enough for the Israelis. Indeed, Ms. Haneen Hazem Abu Shanab, member of the General Union of Palestinian Women in Cairo, thank you so much for being our guest for tonight.
Pleasure as always.
And our dear viewers, that will bring us to the end of this edition of the Daily Debate. Many thanks for watching.
هنا على صوت الدبة بنحس بفدارنا، كل الشبابيك تهيل، الاولاد اتدروخوا في بعض، ابننا اكل قزازه وقع عليه الشباك،
رصف الدار علينا وأصحينا لقيناها مقصوفة علينا ومهدودة والشبابيك وقعات، واختي قدام